Firstly, we have to consider the following, and if you're planning to do maize, these are for any crop, it's important to to note the following points. The first one being the site selection. So under site selection, the selection must be favorable in terms of enough sunlight so that the plant can be exposed to the light. So sunlight is very critical in plant because that's where part of the life is. Because a plant to survive, for a plant to survive, it needs enough chlorophyll, which is uh, manufactured by the plants themselves. And for the chlorophyll to be activated, they need enough sunlight, which has to go through the leaves so that production of chlorophyll or the plant food is can increase. So enough sunlight exposure is very important. Also, the next point is good drainage and air circulation. This is when it comes to the soil. So for good soil, you have to fill the soil. So the soil has to have a good texture. For good texture, we normally look at the three things, which I'll explain in details. So the drainage, water has to drain through the soil and not clog. By clogging or logging, I refer to as overstaying in the soil. When you water somewhere, water should drain through the soil so that it can go to the roots. What is not needed should go away. So too much waterlogging is bad because it brings about problems like leaching of nutrients and um, also the structure of soil is not uh, that strong because of too much water. So air circulation supports the plant organism life in the soil. So for a good soil, always a good soil should have plant life in it, such as beneficial organisms like earthworms or the microbial activities which are responsible for the degradation or decomposition of organic matter in the soil or anything in the soil. This air circulation is important in the soil to support the life of these organisms. And the third point is having a loose, rich soil. So for a loose, rich soil, it should allow water penetration. It should also accommodate, or it should have good aggregates to have the good CEC, which is the cation exchange capacity, for it to hold enough nutrients, and also for it to hold other important things like microbes in the soil. So this point is very important for a good crop to form. Then the last one is convenient access to storage and equipment. So as a farmer or anyone doing farming as a business, you have to consider this point where you are doing the production of farming, you have to have the tools nearby so that when you see, for example, in maize, you see onions increasing or a disease or anything which needs attention as soon as possible, you have access or easy access to this storage, which is very near to your farm. You don't have to keep a sprayer maybe 5 kilometers away from the farm. When you need it, you have to start going back, or if you're lazy to go back. So all these are important when considering to do maize production and to increase the yield or to do any crop. Then the second point after site selection is the use of the right certified seed. There are a lot of seeds on the market, and it's very painful for a farmer to start planting a crop which is not certified. You just buy it from anywhere from the market. It's got no name, it's no expiry date. got no information on the yield, the potential yields, got no information on the resistance or the properties of that seed. So as use of the right seed is very important. And the most important thing to consider when it comes to the use of certified seed is this fact that all these efforts we do, all the efforts around the plant, like from the site selection to timely planting, fertilization, foliar spray, soft foliar sprays, uh, even mulching, everything. All these efforts we do to support the genetics of the plant. Now, if the, the genetics of the plant are known, you don't know the yield. Maybe that crop will give you 0.5 tons per hectare, and you do everything possible and on time, then it gives you the same 0.5 tons per hectare. Then you start blaming again on the practices that maybe the fertilizer is not working, the chemicals is not working, maybe it's wrong planting date, but not considering the fact that you planted the uncertified seed from the street. So this certified seed is very important when one wants to grow any crop, and when it comes to maize. So for maize, the seed will give you a potential yield of 10 tons per hectare maximum yield, and because most of your farmers can really reach up to 5 tons or 6 tons per hectare once you follow proper things, because you depending on the rains. So we'll look at the factors which affect nutrition uptake by the plant roots. So the first one is the soil pH. So pH means the potential hydrogen in the soil. So this is in the scale ranges from 1 to somewhere 14. Like from the simplified one here is ranging from 0 from 4.0 to 10. So what usually happens here is that you have to try by all means to do your soil analysis, especially just on the pH. Because from the pH, you're able to know where you can access a certain access certain nutrients. So if you do your analysis and it gives you the scale, because the scale will go from 4.5, 5.0 up to 10. And this scale is balanced into two. There is one on the left, this side, the acidic side. So it starts from slight acidic, very slight acidic, medium acidic to strong acid. So then the other side is slight alkaline up to very strong alkaline. And between the slight acidic and between the very slight acidic and the very slight alkaline, we have the neutral. But this is not that much to have a pH of, because it will be in a range. It can be just 7. It's very difficult to reach. So how does this affect the uptake of nutrients? As you can see, I will give an example. If the soil pH, if you do your analysis and the soil pH comes out as 5 or 4.5, between 4.5 and 5, one, you have seen the way the nutrients are arranged here. They are arranged in scales. So when you plant a crop and the soil pH is here, somewhere here, you will miss out on these minor nutrients and these major nutrients in the soil. So no matter how much you're going to be adding these, maybe you add high. Someone's mic is on. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so saying if you continue adding fertilizers Here, for example, okay. So if you continue adding the nutrients, say G compound, you add G compound when the scale is 4.5 to 5. These are accessible because they'll be trapped due to the fact that the scale does not allow the uptake of these important nutrients, and it will result into very poor yield. Same goes to the alkaline side. Very alkaline soil also you miss out on a lot of nutrients as well. So this factor is very important to know that to know your pH scale. The recommended mostly is between 6.5 to somewhere 7 because you're able to access the minor nutrients and the major nutrients in the soil. Once you add, or sometimes they'll exist depending on the analysis result. So how does organic matter affect the nutrition uptake? So organic matter comes from plant residues, and these contain essential plant nutrients. So it's very important to know that when you're doing your land preparation, you don't have to start burning the crop residues. Because, for example, if last year you did soybeans or you did maize, they are repeating maize in the same field, you're going to have that NPK is going to remain into the plant residue. So if you push back that crop residue in the soil, you have access to nutrients, and the soil will be very rich in terms of nutrients. So also soil organic matter promotes high ion exchange capacity and water holding capacity. So what organic matter does to the soil is that the CEC is the ability for the soil to hold enough nutrients so that they can be taken up by a plant. So if you add, say, G compound 10-20-10 in a soil which has got very low ion exchange capacity, these nutrients will leach down with water, or they will even volatilize in the air. You will lose them, and the plant will suffer because you won't have access to the nutrients. Then also, when it comes to water holding capacity, is improved because the soil becomes thicker to hold water and the plants to survive accessing water, so that all the nutrients are adding in the soil are being taken up in the plant, and then the rightful thing is done. So organic matter is very important, and to improve on the yield of the farmer, like if you're using our products, say blended G compound, you don't have to go in the tons and tons of manure in the field. What needs to be done is just to apply the fertilizer, got about 25% of organic matter. Apart from the normal synthetic 10-20-10, there's also organic matter in the bag, in the fertilizer. So you have access to this organic matter, the station, the plant. Because again, if you continue doing too much of if you add too much of this organic matter in the soil, more than the recommended or more than the needed, you bring about complications in terms of pathogen multiplication. Also, acids begin to form because the microbial activities, when they're decomposing this organic matter, they respire and they take out carbon dioxide, which will combine with water and to make some weak acid, which is not very good for the soil. So this factor also, the third factor is the burning of crop residues. So burning of crop residues promotes loss of NPK and sulfur. So as I said, in this, like this field had wheat. You can see this is the residue for wheat. So when a farmer is growing wheat, they add enough fertilizers to increase the yield for wheat. So that NPK and sulfur and other trace elements and other minor nutrients, some remain in the residue here. These plants, they remain smaller quantities. So when you do reaping, where you don't disturb the land, or you do conversion or plowing, this goes back in the soil. It starts to decompose, it becomes humus, to become also a fertilizer to the crop, because the fertilizer remains in the soil. And this is one of the key things farmers have been not attending to. This is very important, not to burn crop residues. So apart from that, when this decomposes, it goes back to the point where I said the organic matter increases also. So also water holding capacity, drainage is improved, water holding capacity is improved, water exchange capacity for the nutrients is improved. Also, a lot of things is improved in the soil because we are plowing back the crop residues. So the second point is that organic carbon is increased, which is bad to the soil. So when you burn the crop, you promote carbon dioxide in the air and also in the soil here. Rain comes, the chemical reactions between water and carbon, even some microbial activities to promote carbon-based acid, which in the long run will have an effect in the soil pH. So this is a very bad practice. This is not even recommended because it promotes the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and destroys the ozone. The fourth point is land cultivation techniques. So why is this important? I talked about reaping. So the first point is this is the way land is worked on, the cultivation technique. And mainly, minimum cultivation is encouraged to preserve moisture. So this goes to maize and even other crops. So it's very important to only disturb the soil where you're going to apply or you're going to plant your crop. So what usually happens here is that the benefits of doing this kind of conservation, conserving the soil. One, you conserve moisture because when you just plow where you're going to plant and this patch remains, what will happen is when it rains today and it doesn't rain for some days, this part here between where it wasn't plowed, it is a bit hard, or it developed like a small pan, whereby if there's a beating action of heat or sunlight on the soil, there is no evaporation or water is conserved because it cannot evaporize from the soil here. The second one is second point, apart from conserving water, is that there's no volatilization as compared to someone who does conventional plowing, who plow everywhere. Because of the same fact that where it wasn't disturbed, it's very easy to have loss of nutrients in the soil. So as we talk here, they have combined two. There's one, organic matter. These are the residues that have remained. Two, there's this part which was convention or which was conservation farming, where you just plant, reap or plow where you're going to plant. So all this combines like a two-in-one. You have enough organic matter in the soil. The soil structure is improved, and the yield, once some fertilizers and foliar fertilizers and these agronomical practices are done, the yield will increase when such is attended to. So land preparation. So maize is a field crop, and most of the field crop in Zambia is down under grain bed. It is sold as a grain, as a dry grain, moisture less than 13%. So deep well drained fertile soil, pH ranging from 5.5 to 7.5 is recommended. Or is ideal. So under this pH range, you have slight acidic to slight alkaline. This is the range where you can have access to the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and also sulfur. And there's also minor elements such as copper, molybdenum, and boron, and so on in the mine. So this is the best ideal pH for the soil for you to have enough to have a good yield at the end of the farming season. The third point is soil conditioning can be done according to soil pH results. So once you have the pH results, that's when you can start conditioning the soil or to start working on the soil for it to be favorable for a plant to grow. Yeah, so sometimes if you're trying to just measure the acidic levels in a practical or a simple way, you have to plant groundnuts. When you plant some groundnuts, you observe the pod filling in the soil. So when you observe the pod filling, if you're going to have a pod which will develop quite well, when it matures and you take it out of the soil, you try to open it, you find small shrinked pods with a lot of air. And that's a sign that there's a lot of acids in the soil. So you can also always attend or condition the soil after having such a result. But the fastest and quicker way is the lab analysis, and Mount Meru, University of Zambia, they are doing this pH analysis in SAC. So now, soil conditioning can be done according to soil pH. When you have high alkaline and low, when you have high nitrogen, when the nitrogens are very high and when the nitrogen are very low, we refer to this as the alkaline and acidic. The pH is low on the acidic side, and the pH is high on the alkaline side. Note that the recommended range is 5.5 to 7. I explained this point in the second point. So how do you treat the soils when they are when they are sick or when they are in this situation? The first one, for alkaline soil, must be acidified by applying the following. One, a sulfur-based fertilizer. So what will happen is that the sulfate-based fertilizer will combine with water to make a weak sulfuric acid. And you are acidifying the soil. The next point is adding organic matter in the soil. So organic matter will have microbial activities happening in the organic matter due to decomposition of the organic. So when these are decomposing, they release carbonic acid. This carbonic acid also, when it reacts with water and other reacting agent to form a carbonic acid. The other soil conditioner you can use is gypsum. So gypsum has got a percentage of magnesium, got some calcium, got sulfur, but the sulfur dominates the calcium in the gypsum. So gypsum also is used to condition the soil. So for sulfur-based fertilizers, you can add vegetation or just broadcasting a bit, also organic. And for gypsum, you can also add gypsum. So the other option we are offering in fertilizers is the fast and most effective way of acidifying the alkalining the soil, or bringing back the pH from acid from the alkaline side to the medium or to the neutral. Is the use of micronized gypsum. So if you compare it with the normal gypsum where you put in about 1 ton in a hectare, which is 20 bags in a hectare for gypsum. For the normal gypsum powder, whilst if you compare it to the other one, which is the micronized gypsum, you just go with 5 kgs per hectare. So how do you add this 5 kg per hectare? So this has to be dissolved in a boom spray or a knapsack. So per hectare, you put about 5 kg. Then you have to make sure that this practice is done after you have some precipitation. Precipitation being rainfall or any irrigation or anything, but there has to be moisture in the soil. So this micronized gypsum, when mixed with water, it will dissolve to have a white color. So what will happen when you are spraying on the ground? When you find there's a bit of moisture in the soil, once that moisture or the water starts to go down, starts to reach when it starts to drain through the soil into the subsoil, to go with the same micronized gypsum which was sprayed. So when this is done, you have in the soil, and this reaction just take even about 2 days, and you start the soil. If you do another analysis, you find that the soil has started changing the pH scale, whereas the normal gypsum will take even about 1-2 months, because what usually happens for commercial farmers, when they're trying to condition the soil, adding lime or gypsum, they do it between August and September in preparation for October. So you can see the amount of time to take for lime and the normal lime and the normal gypsum to start decomposing into ions so that it can start conditioning the soil. It takes some time. So the other point for acidifying or for alkalining the soil is liming. When the soil is acidic on the acidic side, so liming and organic matter addition should be added prior to planting. That is 4 weeks or more before transplanting. Then it's supposed to be planting to avoid plant burn from decomposed organic matter. So apart from it taking time, for example, organic matter, if you add the normal manure in the blended is already decomposed. And once you put it, you won't have that much time for it to be used by plant. It takes even 2 weeks or so to start being used by a plant, provided there is enough moisture in the soil. whereas you put just direct manure, it will take some time for it to be decomposed. And when there's a decomposition in the soil and the plant, when the young plant is growing, it usually bends out. That's bending out. The last point is minimum tillage is best recommended. So we talked about this when we're talking about the factors which consider or factors which affect the nutrition uptake. So minimum tillage, which is conservation farming, conservation way of planting crops, is much recommended. So for acidifying the soil, or when the soil is on a, for alkaline the soil, for balancing the soil from the acid side to the neutral up to the alkaline. When the soil is on the acidic side, say less than 5.5 or less than 5 to somewhere about 1 to a strong acid. The use of lime is done, and that's the best. That's the only method which has proven to be working for farmers. Lime. So lime buffers the soil or stabilizes the soil and brings or increases the pH scale. So when you're increasing the pH scale, you're moving from acidic to neutral up to alkaline. When you're reducing or decreasing the pH, you're moving from the alkaline back to the neutral or the acidic side. Again, on the lime, just like I said, for the micronized lime, micronized gypsum, there's also another product called micronized lime. So for micronized gypsum, micronized lime, where immediately you see there's the suspected acidic in the soil, just apply within a week, within a day, within few days, result will start showing. The plant will utilize the nutrients which you apply to the crop. It won't reach. So what are the planting and what are the planting dates for maize? So planting dates, we talk about planting dates and also the planting procedures. So plant directly at 5 centimeters deep, and this spacing should be 30 centimeters between plants and 90 centimeters between rows. So here we are talking about planting crop, one station per crop. There are also other things. This scale changes. This intra-row and row spacing changes if you're planting 1 per station and 2 per station. So if you're planting 2 per station, the inter-row spacing will increase. The intra-row will increase to about 50, and between plants it will increase. This can increase to 50, and this can increase to 100 according to the way you're planting. So when you plant at this range, 30 by 90 centimeters, you have a population range of about 10 to 11,000 plants per lima. So we'll talk more about the lima and the lima pack which we are offering to farmers at the end of this program. So we have about 10 to 11,000 plants per lima, which results to a maximum of 44,000 plants per hectare. But recommendation on the spacing and population is according to the type of variety you are doing. If you're doing the short variety, the population might increase because each crop will have enough space because it's a short variety. The tall variety, also the population reduces a bit. So when is the sowing date? So November planting, the onset of first rains is the safest under dry land condition. But you have to observe if you say November, it just rains once in a week. You have to have some kind of consistency in terms of rain. It rains today, after tomorrow it rains, the other day it rains, or after 2 days it rains. then you know that there's enough moisture in the soil to put that seed in the soil. And you have to make sure by this time, November, before even the onset of rains, everything, such as things like herbicides, pesticides, seed, fertilizers, they must be ready. They must be ready, and they have to be near the farm so that the business can start. So fertilization. So basal dressing, planting, you have to apply blended G compound. As I told you, blended G compound is a normal NPK 10, 20, 10, and 6 sulfur, but there is a filler or there is a organic matter in it. It is enriched with organic matter. And I've explained the importance of having organic matter in the soil. Things like drainage, water holding capacity, also a lot of benefits of having organic in the soil. So you add about 5 grams per station, and if 50 kg is enough. 50 kg is enough for a lima, even about 55 kg, because if you multiply 5 grams times the number of plants divided by 1,000 to give you the exact figure, you have to put the lima. So I need someone to do the calculation before we proceed. So Christopher.
Yes, Mr. Wow.
Yes, can you ask someone to do the calculation for this one?
Okay, can you just, which calculation is that?
So this is the plant population, put it at 10,000 per lima.
For a hectare?
Yes, per lima, sorry.
Per lima 10,000?
Per lima, yes.
So we want to find per hectare now?
No, now we want to find the number of bags a farmer needs.
Number of plants a farmer needs in a hectare?
No. I'm saying if you are going to add 5 grams per plant per station, and we have got about 10,000 plants. Yes, 10,000 plants per hectare.
Oh, okay. Now I get you.
So it will give you the exact amount of it you need.
Okay, so 5 grams by 10,000 plants, yes?
Yes, divided by 1,000 grams to get.
Okay, so that's 10 kg. Divided by 1,000, that's...
Yes.
That's 50 kg.
Yes. So 50 kg is enough for a lima. But some farmers go up to about 300, because per hectare we recommend 200 kgs, but farmers go up to 300 to 350. Mind you, we have to take note that the more you increase on the input, you also increase on the output. So more nutrition will give you more grains or more maize per hectare. So you have to also do a co-exceed, because you will go into the area where you start even damaging the soil and also burning the crop. So this is the basal dressing. We talked about the basal dressing, blended G compound, where you add 5 grams per station, the plant, which will be about 50 kgs per lima. Then we come to top dressing. So top dressing, ordinarily we have been adding urea, and we've been seeing the results. The results haven't been that much convincing. So now at the moment, Zambia Fertilizers, we have improved, we have added value to the urea. It's not just any other urea. It's urea, but it's got it's coated with agrotane. So agrotane is just an inert material, doesn't do anything to the soil, but it inhibits the nitrification, which is the the conversion of nitrogen to nitrate. So what usually used to happen long time that when like the way the sun is in Lusaka today, when you put urea on you put it in the morning or just put it outside or put it in the container, you open the container, when you put it, after some time of after a day, you go and smell that urea to have that very strong pungent smell. So that is the ammonia gas, which has escaped from the grain of urea. So that ammonium gas is very important because it's in an ion form and it was ready to be taken up by plant. Now it has gone. And the plant will just access a very small amount or percentage of urea or nitrogen from the urea. So what is happening now, the kind of blue urea, we're calling it, will slowly release the nitrogen to a plant. Whether you've got too much sunlight, there's some flooding or anything, too much water, some drought, you won't lose that nitrogen. It will be there in the plant for a plant to use. So this has been being used by a lot of commercial farmers, and we thought of introducing to small-scale farmers so that they can improve on their yields. Because we know if this person can achieve up to 6 tons per hectare, even any other person can achieve that. But what is important is to know the product you're using and the benefits of using this product. So I urge a lot of farmers to try out this product this season, the kind of blue urea. That gives a lot of good results. Also, it's very environmental friendly because you're not releasing gases in the air. The gas is trapped and released bit by bit for a plant to use. So when plants are at knee high, which is about 50 centimeters, or I would say, depending on the variety, it ranges from 4 to 6 weeks, you apply top dressing fertilizer using the Kynoplus blue urea at 5 grams per plant station. So we're not changing any application quantities per plant or per hectare or per lima. The same ordinary way we've been doing it, that's the way we're going to use it, we're going to do it. So 5 grams per plant per station will come back again to the 50 kg per lima. So with this kind of fertilizers, you save on labor in terms of applying, because you don't need to split like the way we used to split ordinary urea. Because ordinary urea, we are splitting it so that a plant will access enough nitrates from that urea and to avoid enriching. But now we've got a product which has got all those properties, like it's a 10 in 1 or 5 in 1. It has got the inhibiting, doesn't leach, doesn't volatilize. So once you add it, once you forget, you start doing the foliar sprays. So now, when you add the urea, which is a Kynoplus urea, you also have to do foliar sprays. Maize has got a booster, and I know most of them, this is the first time you're hearing about the maize booster. So for you to have a uniform harvest and to have a good, healthy plant, which will withstand some drought and stand with bad growing conditions, you need to apply the foliar fertilizers. So foliar fertilizers is not the actual, just the NPK, which is the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It's got a lot of starting from the major, minor, and the micronutrients, starting from nitrogen up to the smallest, which is copper or molybdenum, or iron or manganese. It is in the booster, and we're calling this the milliohm. So this maize ohm is applied 3 times. The first application per hectare is 3 kgs. So 3 kgs will do 1 application, and this has to be done 6 weeks, just 4 to 6 weeks. So the first point I did on midi-off is the first application is 3 kg as a foliar application for general growth and development at the 8 to 12 leaf stage. And usually the maize plant is at this stage when we are reaching around the weeks 4 and week 6. And just slightly when you before you can even do it before you do the time plus urea or just after, but you can do it just slightly before. You can do pesticide and all those things you can mix it. It's compatible. The next application is the same 3 kg per hectare as a foliar application for pollen, germination, fertilization, and grain filling. So this is the second application where we're going to add about 3 kg per hectare. So per hectare to help you in pollen germination, fertilization, and grain filling in the cob. 2 weeks before tasseling stage. So tasseling stage is usually about 2 months, which is about 60 days for early maturing plants. And for these medium to late, it's about plus 75 to 85 to 85 days. So you can apply just before tasseling. So using foliar fertilizers and using things like growth regulators or growth promoters is very important. We're going to talk about this growth regulators in the other training, where we just look at the chemicals. That's when this will be talked about in details. But today I'll just end on the blended D compound, the kind of plus blue urea, the benefits, and also the foliar fertilizers, the importance of having foliar fertilizers. So this is what I was recommending. The first one is the blended G compound. This is how the bag looks like. This is the NPK 10-20-10 plus 6 sulfur. There's also about 25% of organic matter. And when you open the bag with different colors, got some synthetic and also some organic in it. So this is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and sulfur. And the filler we're using is the organic matter. So the top dressing is kind of plus blue urea. This is the brand and the Kainok. So the normal urea used to be white, but the Agrocen we're coating this urea is blue. So this is how the urea will look like. It's the latest on the market for increased yield. This is how it looks like. Blue urea, kind of plus blue urea. For slow release of nitrogen to the plant. So finally, this is the Lima pack for small scale farmers. And this comes with the benefit of reduced prices. You have some discount on the prices of these products. You get this Lima pack.